Hey guys, it's Bub here. As you were taking a look at AiryxOS, which is an OS that I've actually never heard of until my research today. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at this custom open source version of, quote, macOS. We're starting here on their website because I wanted to give a little overview on what AiryxOS actually is. AiryxOS is an open source desktop operating system that aims to provide a similar experience and compatibility with macOS x86 64 systems. It builds on the solid foundations of FreeBSD, existing open source packages in the same space, and new code to fill the gaps. Airix aims to fill the sleek, stable, and familiar and intuitive, handle your daily tasks, and provide as much compatibility as possible with the original OS that inspired it, which is obviously macOS. This is still in heavy beta, as we can tell by if we go to here. The entire source code is posted on GitHub, and we're going to be taking a look at this and seeing, how good it actually is, even though it's in beta. How much does this actually resemble what is going on in macOS? Now, it looks like AiryxOS was actually renamed to RavynOS. However, with RavynOS, what I've noticed, because I did test it, is the two that are on their GitHub, 0.4.0 Pre-3 and Pre-4, all don't actually boot into a GUI. It will boot into a TTY line where you can, I don't actually know what you're supposed to do with it. I want to take a look at a user interface. So we're actually taking a look at Airix 3.0, which does go back a year or two, but it's better than a text-based, command line-based environment. So we're going to take a look at Airix and let's get into it. And here we are. This is the operating system. As you can tell, very bare bones. There is still no dock yet, but let's get into what this actually does. As we can see, we have our top bar, which actually does resemble macOS. We don't have a dock, as mentioned. That is coming soon. About this computer, we can see AiryxOS 0.3.0 highly resembles what we would see on a Mac. The system preferences opens, of course, system preferences. Doesn't look too similar to a Mac, but hey, that's okay. Going into here, we also have recent items, sleep, restart, lock screen, log out. Lock screen takes us to this right here. We can just hit the next button. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to restart the OS because live user does have no password. I know that for a fact. So let's go ahead and restart the OS. And while we restart the OS, I want to talk a little bit about the why. Why would you ever want this OS? And the reason is, if this were to ever become a larger scale project, it's open source. And if they're able to actually successfully run macOS apps on this, that is a big groundbreaking achievement and probably a lawsuit from Apple, to be honest. Having this OS is incredible because they're able to basically do what Wine did for Windows, but with macOS. Which I think is a gigantic feat because I know that is not easy. And also remember, this isn't necessarily like your ParaOS Linux clone. This is actually FreeBSD, which sure is a version of Linux, but this is like, you can tell this was built ground up, not like meant to be like a crappy Linux clone. Going into File, we can create a new folder or a blank file, or we can get info on the file that we have selected, which we don't actually have a file selected. Edit, we have copy, cut, paste, duplicate, rename, move the trash, select all, invert, empty, and preferences. If we go to View, we have reload, show hidden, and sorting. Go, we have all the locations that we want to go. We can see our desktop folder. Bookmarks, add to bookmarks, edit bookmarks. Tool, open terminal, and find files. So now we are in the shell of the operating system. We can go ahead and close that. And we also have, once it loads back up here, help. And we can see about, which brings up filer. Oh, I like this icon. That's funny. And credit to all of these people for the programming and the application icon. These 4 people that make up this one team, props to you for doing this. This is incredible. Moving over to the right side, we have a clipboard. We have a little AirPlay icon that brings up a screen layout, so you can kind of change how your displays, things like that. We have a battery icon, which is automatic sleep and screen locking. have our time and our date calendar, as well as a little notification center, just like that. And as far as I'm aware, that is pretty much the entire operating system. Now you may be saying, well, why would you ever want to do this? Why would you ever need this? What is the point of that? Well, the reason for this is because of what it will eventually be. And I did find some more apps I want to take a look at. This, with more work, is eventually like a Linux or a macOS clone. I mean, just think, like, this is the /applications folder. If you remember in macOS, that's also there. This is /system folder. This all resembles Apple. And if you watch the verbose boot up sequence, you can actually watch it say com.apple.whatever. Their end goal is to run Mac apps, which I think is a gigantic deal. For some reason, I can't get either of these applications to actually launch. Maybe they're just going to take a little bit of time to open. But yeah, this is a big deal. I know I'm a little behind on this. This has been in development for some years now, but there we go. I am just impressed at, that this exists. The amount of effort. I mean, you can tell that this is a very, very, very rough beta of the operating system. I mean, you can tell just, how things aren't refined and things like that. But this is how most operating systems start out. I mean, I give them all the props in the world for actually developing this, because I know that this is not easy. That this took a lot of work, a lot of time, to get where they are here today. And so with that being said, I really hope to see more from this project in the future. I am excited for the future of this project, even though I just learned about it. And if the developers are watching this, I apologize for taking a look at an older build. If there's anything I'm missing with the newer builds as to why I keep booting into that sort of terminal TTY environment, let me know, and if there's a way to fix it, I will gladly take another look at this OS, because I'm now invested in the development of this. And with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.